A lot of things go into a franchise and being the underdogs and all that. I mean, when you look at a specific city, you don't think about major sports teams and all that. Well, obviously, New York and Los Angeles come to mind. They have teams in all four major sports: baseball, basketball, football, hockey. Then New York shares with the Yankees and Mets in baseball. Basketball, it's all about the Knicks. Football, it's the Jets and Giants, even though they play in New Jersey. And in hockey, it's the Rangers and the Islanders. Los Angeles has, of course, baseball, the Dodgers and the Angels. Football, they have the LA Rams back. Basketball, they have the Lakers and Clippers. And in hockey, it's the LA Kings. You wouldn't think that this city would be home to a Big Four sports team because more often than not, people will think this city is more known for its college atmosphere, and they would be right. Last video, I talked about the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning winning 62 games and just getting butt kicks. But you know what? What about the team that beat them in the 2019 playoffs? What about that team? They should get a what if of their own? I mean, after all, it's their most successful season in a while. Let's talk about the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets, and let's talk about the Blue Jackets in general. Hello out there, we're on the air. It's Cutter, what if NHL time? Tensions blow, the whistle blown, and the pucks go down the ice. Some teams just want to win the cup and do it with a smile. Hey, that is cool. Up on the River Nile. Oh, the good old hockey game. Who will come out on top? Will a team get through the cup by any means necessary? Oh, the good old hockey game. It's the best game you can name, and I'm have no shame. I will simulate those hockey games. Woo! So the story of the Columbus Blue Jackets were that, hockey in Ohio was not really that big. I mean, there were like IHL teams and AHL teams, but, you know, the state of Ohio fell in love with hockey because the Cleveland Barons were one of the best teams in the AHL. Cleveland loved their jobs. They had a good pipeline of players. They even had Johnny Bauer for a while. Cleveland even issued an open challenge to the NHL champions in 1953 for the Stanley Cup, but were met with resulting. The fact of the matter is that the city of Cleveland loved their AHL team and all that. And hockey in Ohio didn't get the NHL team they wanted. Cleveland wanted the NHL for so long it hurt. But they did in 1976, that is. The plight of the Golden Seals/Seals led to things. The California Golden Seals were hemorrhaging money. They just couldn't find owners that liked them so much. They were spending time in San Francisco and Oakland. The NHL decided to relocate that team to Cleveland under the ownership of George and Gordon Gund. Now, the Gund brothers actually were big. One of them was a business pioneer, and the other was actually blind, but you wouldn't know it because of his business acumen. So much so that he would actually record meetings, business meetings, and then play them back at 2 times speed, meaning that practically it's like for every 1 second of action, there's 2 seconds. No, yeah, for every 2 seconds of talk, there's 1 second of dialogue. So basically, how the frick can one guy do that? Amazing. Nevertheless, the Gunn brothers were hell-bent on giving Cleveland their NHL team. Unfortunately, the city would not have the arena. It would be in Richfield, about a 20-minute drive from Cleveland, and basically in the middle of nowhere, as everyone said. The Barons didn't do so well, and Cleveland was in trouble. Rather than folding the team, rather than moving the team, the NHL decided to, and not even fold the team, they decided to merge the Barons with the Minnesota North Stars, a team that also had some problems. And the Gunn brothers got to be minority owners of the Minnesota North Stars. So the Cleveland Barons, all their players, including the last Cleveland Baron to be in the NHL, Dennis Maruk, went to Minnesota with the North Stars. The North Stars got players like Gilles Meloche as well, and it actually helped. The North Stars in 1981 would make the Stanley Cup Finals, losing to the Islanders, but the Gun Brothers were still around, and hockey in Ohio would just be a minor league team. But by 1997, the NHL wanted to expand into the 21st century. So they allowed Nashville to come in 1998, Atlanta in 1999, and then add two teams for 2000. And lo and behold, Columbus was one of them. Minnesota was the other one, as the North Stars, even though that, they left in 93, they should have gotten a team quick as can be. The Jets almost went to Minnesota, but were saved. So the fact of the matter was that Columbus had their team. They had some great players. They had Ron Tucknett in that, who was known for being good with expansion teams and everything. Mark Denny, and of course Rick Nash started his career as a Columbus Blue Jacket. Ebsen Knudsen, great Columbus Blue Jacket. Rusty Klesla. Columbus were kind of an afterthought. They did make the playoffs in 2009, but didn't win a game as the Red Wings swept them. Years later, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2013 when they were facing Pittsburgh and they actually won a game and everyone celebrated. Especially that Columbus gold cannon that the cannon would fire after every goal and all that. It was loud. It was unnecessary in my mind. I mean, yeah, the Blue Jackets were not named for the animal, but they were named for the infantry in a war. But the fact of the matter is that just doesn't make sense. So logically, Columbus thought they were going to be okay. Unfortunately, Columbus was also remembered for having the nets the around like the nets around the ice, the glass, to catch pucks, because 13-year-old Brittany Cecil was at a Columbus game against Calgary in 2002 when a puck was shot over the glass and hit her. She seemed to be fine, but then she had hemorrhaging and died a couple days later. So the NHL made the new rule about the puck over the glass thing to catch pucks and protect fans. Some say it's stupid, but it could save lives. And it has. Columbus did win the playoff series in 2019 against Tampa. Of course, we'll talk about it more as cats are meowing in the background. The fact of the matter is that in 2020, Columbus went to, they called the pandemic playoffs, and took out the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto and Columbus both made back to back 3-goal comebacks in games 3 and 4, respectively. Practically, the Leafs lost the winner take all against Columbus of all teams and didn't go far. Columbus has had a few brushes with the playoffs, but this past season, 24-25, has been huge. Columbus was in a wildcard position for most of the year, and it looked like Columbus was going to win. And Columbus basically was going to be gifted that playoff spot because of the death of Johnny Hockey. That's right. Johnny Gaudreau, in his second season with Columbus, was ready to go. He was in New Jersey for the wedding of his sister. Well, when he and his brother died riding bikes by a drunk driver. And of course, the drunk driver is just basically saying that, you know, they should not have been riding their bikes at night and he had to ride away. But a lot of people said that the driver was drunk and was impatient and wanted to pass cars and hit them on the shoulder of the road. The Goodrills were on the shoulder of the road. They weren't on the real road. That scumbag better get life or something huge, because if he doesn't, then hell will break loose. Columbus was playing for Johnny Gaudreau. Montreal's Cole Caulfield changed his number to number 13, and for a while he was the scoring leader. But yeah, Columbus almost got the title, almost got the playoff spot, but failed. But anyway, let's talk about the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets. So the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets. This was their 19th season and their first ever playoff series win, and that was against Tampa. This team was fifth in the Metro. A lot of people said, well, you're fifth in your division, you shouldn't make the playoffs. But the NHL rule at the time was the top 3 teams in each division got in. And then the 2 top teams that didn't get points, regardless of division, would get in. So Washington won the Metro with 104 points. The New York Islanders took home 103 points. Pittsburgh took home 100 points. Carolina 99, Columbus 98. Can you believe it that Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Columbus were only separated by 2 points? If you take third, you would have taken on the New York Islanders in the playoffs. And then Carolina Columbus would be at the mercy of the Washington Capitals. In the wild card, they were second wild card behind Carolina by just a point. Just 2 points out of Montreal. Montreal was chasing and just missed out. So, yeah, Columbus did it. Columbus would have to face those pesky Tampa Bay Lightning. Carolina got to face Washington. In the first round, they looked pretty impressive, but well, they were down 3-0 to Tampa, but all of a sudden, Columbus took care of Tampa, scoring 4 straight goals. And somehow, in some way, they had the momentum. They won 5-1 in game two, then 3-1 and 7-3. So practically, Tampa just couldn't do anything. But 5 goals in the last 10 periods. That was just not Tampa at all. Tampa had every bit of momentum. All that. They're the President's Trophy winner and 62 wins. Can't be beat. Now, before you say, "Oh well," that was shocking. It was very. They should have faced Washington. Well, Washington did fall to Carolina in 7 games, thanks to a. I don't know who was the guy who scored in overtime, but Justin Williams got the assist. So Columbus would have faced Washington. Maybe they would have faltered, just like a few years ago, prior. They actually faced Boston, lost in overtime, but then won in double overtime in Boston, and then won 2-1. It looked like Columbus was going to take down Boston yet again, and with another upset, but they just couldn't do it. They got blown out of the water. Bobrovsky tried his best, but they lost 3 straight games, and Boston got to go to the conference finals. See the points with Panarin, Atkinson, and Dubois. In the playoffs, they were okay. Bobrovsky 37 wins in the playoffs, 6-4. Otherwise, transactions wise, any major moves? Well, Columbus picked up Matt Duchene at the trade deadline from Ottawa in exchange for 2 first-round picks. So Matt Duchene got Ottawa 2 first-round picks. It worked. Columbus would also trade with Ottawa, sending Anthony Duclair and two second-round picks to Ottawa for Ryan DeSingle and a 7th-round pick in 2019. It was like shocking how they would mortgage first-round picks on Matt Duchene and second-round picks on Ryan DeSingle. Columbus picked up Keith Kincaid for the playoffs for a 5th-round pick and picked up Adam McQuaid from the Rangers for Julius Bergman. Free agents wise, Matt Calvert went to Colorado. Jack Johnson went to Pittsburgh. He was one of the best Columbus defensemen around. Thomas Vanek to Detroit. Anthony Duclair was picked up as a free agent from Chicago and then traded to Ottawa. They made some signings. The 2018 NHL draft, they got Liam Foudy from London and Kirill Marchenko from Hungary. But yeah, that was huge. But yeah, the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets, things will look good. But now let's talk about what if the 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets actually went to the Eastern Final. All right, so Columbus and Carolina facing each other. It would be Bobrovsky versus Mrazek, by my guess. It'd be Mrazek. So yeah, Columbus takes out Boston. Now they face Carolina, who took out Washington and who took out the Penguins. Yeah, Penguins. No, it was the Islanders. The Islanders swept Pittsburgh, and then Carolina swept the Islanders. So Carolina would face Columbus, and because Carolina beat Columbus by a point, they're the home team for the Eastern Finals. We leave the Western Conference alone. St. Louis is waiting for the winner. Game one would see Columbus shock Carolina 4-3 as Justin Williams scored for Carolina. Then 2 goals by the Jackets. Cam Atkinson and Artemi Panarin. Dougie Hamilton tied it at 2. Atkinson made it 3-2. Panarin made it 4-2. Good job for Panarin Bread. Justin Falk scored to make it 4-3. Every Jacket played for 14 minutes. Every Jacket. Carolina had the same thing. Panarin, Atkinson, and Justin Williams are 3 stars. Game 2 would see Columbus again win 4-3 as David Savard and Cam Atkinson made it 2-0 Columbus. Michael Furland made it 2-1, and then Atkinson made it 3-1. On the power play, Dubois made it 4-1. Brock McGinn and Nino Niederreiter made it 4-3. Yeah, players were playing. Dubois, Atkinson, Panarin, your 3 stars, as Columbus takes a 2-0 series lead back home. And in game 3, Carolina wins by 1 goal. Atkinson and Borkstrad made it 2-0. It looked like Columbus was going to take that Carolina. But Aho and Trevor Van Riemsdyk made it 2-2. And then overtime at 2:52, Terverlainen from Williams and Ahoka. So Mrazek, Terverlainen, and Aho were your 3 stars. You have Mrazek saving 40 of 42 shots. Game 4 would see Columbus win 1-0 on a goal by Borkstad. It was like these teams really were playing each other to the hilt, but Columbus wins 1-0. Shots were 41-28 for Carolina. First star better be who I think it is. It is Bobrovsky, Mrazek, and Borkstad. So yeah, Bobrovsky putting on his clinic. Well, they took care of Tampa. They took care of Boston. Now, can they take care of Carolina? And the answer is no. They lose game 3, 2-1. Justin Williams scored in the first period. Then Aho made it 2-0. Dubinsky had a penalty shot saved, but Panarin scored. But Carolina wins and forces a game 6 back in Columbus. Aho, Bobrovsky, and Mrazek are your 3 stars of the day. So back to Columbus we go. And in game 6, it would be Carolina winning 2-1 as Brett Pesce made it 1-0. Josh Anderson tied it at 1. Mr. Anderson. And then Nino Niederreiter made it 2-1 Carolina, and that was it. Columbus couldn't do anything, and a low-scoring series, if you will. Every game has been decided by 1 goal. Pesce, Bobrovsky, and Hamilton are your 3 stars. I don't know why. I guess Mrazek only saved 25 shots. Game 7. Who wins? It would be not Columbus. Columbus had a 1-0 lead through 2 periods. It was like, well, Columbus is going to win the series now, thanks to Panarin's goal. It was like, well, Columbus did it. But then somehow they faltered. Dougie Hamilton scored to make it 1-1. Justin Falk was punished for a double minor. And all Columbus had to do was take advantage. They didn't. Brock McGinn made it 2-1, and then Jordan Stahl on the empty net. Jacob Slavin with the assist. So the Jackets lose 3-1, and again they fall. They fall in Game 7 to Carolina, who probably would have beaten St. Louis, getting the momentum and winning their second Stanley Cup ever. But yeah, Columbus blew it. Columbus had a 3-1 series lead, and they end up following. McGinn, Mrazek, and Bobrovsky, your 3 stars of the game. But man, Columbus can't believe it. Mrazek played his heart out, and Columbus faltered in the final 3 games, trying to win and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. But Carolina would have won in 7, and Columbus would probably rue missing a few points because that would have given them home ice. Bobrovsky did what he could, but in the end, Carolina won. And every game except for Game 7 was decided by 1 goal. Think about it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.